The Vancouver Canucks are linked to a perfect center in this year's NHL Draft at number 15 overall, who would make a significant impact within this organization with the perfect opportunity for career growth considering what's going on in Abbotsford this season. We're going to break down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first, if you want to join the 7,350 subscribers that we currently have on the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you can stay up to date on everything to do with the Canucks. And with that, let's hop straight into it, which is the perfect center prospect. So over the past few weeks, we've been going over different draft prospects. We covered Bear, we covered Carbonneau, and now we're jumping into Braden Coots, who is an 18-year-old from Sherwood Park, Alberta. He's a center coming in at 6 feet and 183 pounds with a right-handed shot. He has won some medals as well on the international stage and in the junior stage. And when you see there as far as what he's being ranked as far as some prospect projections, it's right in the middle of the pack, which is where the Vancouver Canucks are. Some insiders have him as high as 11. Some have him as low as 23 or even lower. So there are some opportunities here where the Canucks could go out and get him if some other guys that we have been looking at are taken off the board by then. And the article that we're going to dive into, jumping into the explanation on him, is something that Canucks Army put out. It's highlighting some of these prospects that we're going to be looking at over the next few weeks, saying earlier or not, the Alberta native checks all the right boxes the Canucks could hope for in a prospect. Known for his relentless work ethic, he's the kind of player who leaves it all on the ice, earning a reputation as a heart and soul type with leadership potential written all over him. This past season, he wore the captaincy for both Team Canada at the U18s and the Seattle Thunderbirds, where he skated as the youngest captain in the WHL at 17 and 18 years old. He's a tireless competitor on the ice, providing a real Energizer Bunny brand with his non-stop motor. He's a responsible, all situations right shot pivot who thrives in all three zones, bringing a pest-like forecheck right that wears down opponents. While he may not deliver bone-crushing hits, his constant pressure and volume of engagement make him a nightmare to play against. He forces defenders to constantly swivel, overthinking each time they skate towards the corners. Now, when you look at this at first glance, is anybody else seeing JT Miller Jr. in this case? Hopefully not with the drama that comes with it, but as far as just being a competitor, wanting to just stay in there, stay hungry, stay active, be an energized bunny, whether he's laying big hits or not, he just wants to create pressure, create opportunities, do whatever he can on the ice to give his team the best chance of winning. This is a guy who, with those intangibles, that's something that would fit right in with the Vancouver Canucks, and it would be a fresh batch of young blood of competitiveness that we want to see. We see that in the veterans. We've seen it in Quinn Hughes. We've seen it in Filip Hronek. We've seen it in Kiefer Sherwood and some of these other guys, Tyler Myers as well, where when they lose, they hate it. They are so pissed off, and you can see it on their face. And this is another guy where if you bring in a young competitor like this who is going to be that much pissed off if they lose, that's somebody that you want in the doors for this organization. Once in the zone too, he uses a combination of quick hands and IQ to burn through defenders, giving his ability to dig. He often comes out on top of inboard battles, working quickly to thread the pass or drive the net. He carries a quick and potent release, especially when given the time and space. It's not typical to see a blasted one-timer, but he makes goalies pay with pinpoint wrist shots from the top of circles when gifted with time and space. There's another Vancouver Canuck who has a really good shot when he decides to trust it, and especially without the one-time release, but a quick release at that is filled with pinpoint accuracy. That is something that we absolutely need for this team, because we're in a state right now where we try a lot of shot attempts are not enough in some games, and it's just waiting for that perfect moment. This is a guy where, yes, he's going to wait for his window, which is something that we can't necessarily afford to have to an extent, but if he's going to wait for his window, he's making damn sure that it is a perfect shot that he's going to score more often than not in those situations, rather than holding on to it and having to pass it away or taking a relatively uneasy shot to make, and it's going to be an easy save for the goalie. So that's something where Vancouver could definitely utilize someone like that. We've seen that with Jonathan Lekkerimäki. We know how lethal his shot is, whether it's on a one-timer or just a pinpoint wrist shot. He is a lot like this as far as shooting goes. So having another guy like that is another ace that I think would be very beneficial in this Canucks prospect pool that we have. His never quit attitude also makes up for his lack of raw physical strength. While he's listed at 183 pounds, he plays more competitively than tough. In clutch moments, whether it's a critical defensive shutdown shift or late game push for a tying goal, Coots is the player you want on the ice. Defensively, he's a coach's dream. He led the Thunderbolts with 87 block shots and posted a 51% faceoff win rate over more than 1,000 draws this season. He also averaged nearly 3 minutes per game on the penalty kill, often serving as Seattle's go-to forward in those high mistake situations. Again, it doesn't get any better than this, folks. When you look at that, the never quit attitude and the face-off percentage, this is something huge. Where we saw once Elias Pettersson was hurt last season, it was a little bit of a rough go in the face-off circle. Once he picked it up before the injury, it was looking all right. But when JT Miller left, our face-off was looking abysmal. Petey started picking it up, then he got hurt. Pius Suter had to step in, who's not the greatest in the face-off circle, but he did do a pretty serviceable job. However, the Vancouver Canucks were losing a lot more face-off percentage battles than they were winning this past season. So you bring in a guy who's taken more than 1,000 face-off draws, has a 51% face-off win. That is incredible, especially a guy who has played on the penalty kill. So this is a forward that we can utilize in the penalty kill, like some other defensive guys that we'd like to see, like Elias Pettersson, DPD. He's pretty decent on the penalty kill. Marcus Pettersson has been great in the penalty kill, but we want to have another penalty kill forward that we can put in there, someone who's fast and who can get enough of a quick shot off, where if it's shorthanded or he has a burst, he's going to make the best of it. And that's something that I think would go a long way, not only for the Vancouver Canucks, obviously, but for the Abbotsford Canucks, who it doesn't seem like they need to improve the way that they're playing right now in the playoffs, just rolling through the Western Conference Finals. But it is still something where you can always get better, and this is a guy who can make this team better. While not a burner, he can change speeds effectively, using his slipperiness to gain inside position and drive the net. Like I said, he's not the fastest of guys, but his maneuvering and paired with his shooting is insane. His skating mechanics could use some refinement, but his hockey IQ and understanding of the game more than compensate for any lack of elite speed. And at the end of the day, you can always get faster, you can always refine some things, but hockey IQ is something that you are born with and you instinctively have. And that is something that if you don't have that, it's going to be tough for you to get all the other intangibles right. Whereas if you have the hockey IQ already, all the other parts are just going to naturally fall into place with development, because it's not having to worry about breaking down so much of the game to make sure you understand it. On top of the skills, you already have a great understanding of the game, and now it's just a matter of refining those skills, making sure that you are just continuing to be the best player that you can be. And when you look at his stats as well, it's not too illustrious, but he has still played a decent amount on the world stage, playing at the U18s and the U17s, taking home gold in the U18s as well as the captain, and then a season with the Thunderbirds as well. Going from 35 points to 63 is a massive jump. And then when you look at the WHL playoffs that he had, having 8 points in 6 games, that's nothing to scoff at either. So this is a guy who can produce in the postseason, and he can just do wonders, it seems like. But while his offensive ceiling might not reach the top 6 level of his pedigree, the tools are there for him to reach that level with proper development, like I've been saying. And at worst, he projects a dependable middle 6 center who can contribute in all situations, killing penalties, winning faceoffs, and leading by example with grit and determination. Now, that last part, as much as you want to call those weaknesses, maybe, that offensive ceiling is something that can continue to rise because he already has the intangibles. You have a guy who's going to be a competitor and work his ass off on the ice. You have a guy who's going to make teams try and be pressured defensively or try and wear them down defensively. You got a guy who's very agile. He's not the fastest of skaters, but he's nifty as hell. So he's going to make you miss and try and claim some ankles while he's doing it. He's got a accurate pinpoint shot. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, Elias Pettersson, when he's clicking, that's something that you want. Hating to lose more than you love to win, that's something that we've seen the best competitors go through, not just the Vancouver Canucks building, but through sports in general. The true measure of a competitor is that. So with all these things paired together, you look at a guy like Braden Coots, where initially the stats may not be the most illustrious of things, or the projections may not be the most illustrious, but when you look at the intangibles that he brings, almost everything on paper says, hey, this guy would fit perfectly in this Vancouver Canucks system. Playing for a coach like Adam Foote in the future, who's been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. Playing for a coach like Manny Malhotra, who is on fire this season in Abbotsford, and developing these guys who, by the time that this kid jumps to the Vancouver Canucks roster, Manny could be our coach by then. Who knows? We'll see what happens as far as the future. I know a lot of Canucks fans are kind of just getting ahead of themselves there, just planning for Manny to be the coach in the next few years. But whether it's Manny or Adam Foote, those guys have already established a relationship between each other that no matter which pieces are moving back and forth, they're going to make sure they're working together to make sure that if it's helping one of them, it's helping the other. So those are things to look forward to. There's still some other names that we're going to dive into before the draft rolls around, because it's not just the number 15 overall pick. We also have their other draft picks that we could find some late round, mid round gems in those roughs where there could be some gems in there, like we saw with Anthony Romani last season, like with Melvin Fernstrom, who was unfortunately moved on from. But those were two guys that on this channel we predicted the Canucks would take either one or both of those guys, and they went out and got him. So hopefully here's to a repeat this year, whether it's Carter Bear, whether it's Carbonneau, or whether it's Braden Coots. We are looking at some pretty nice prospects to look at as far as what could be available at the number 15 overall spot. But what do you guys think about all this? Let us know your opinion on Braden Coots down in the comments below, and let us know how pumped you are for the NHL draft, or are you a little bit less excited than you are in the past few seasons? Let us know down in the comments below, but that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.